Psalm 91. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him I will trust. Surely He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor the destruction that lays waste at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked. Because you have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place. No evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near you, your dwelling. For He shall give His angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. Because He has set His love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation.
This is Aaron Antis from the Reawaken America Tour, and you're watching His Glory.
It's a war on truth while the police save our land. It's a war on truth, justice right around the bend. It's a war on truth and God wins in the end. We a war, no fear. We a war, God's hand. Justice was a setup.
Well, from east to west to north to south, hello, His Glory family. Hello, America. Welcome back to another episode of The War on Truth Continues. We have an outstanding hour-long show tonight with Patrick Byrne. A lot of you know him as the founder of Overstock. But let me tell you, Patrick is also, he was a secret U.S. intelligence asset turned whistleblower. Why? Because he frickin' loves this country. And he's got some pretty big cojones on him, so this is going to be a great show. Let's get through a few announcements here before we bring Pat in. Our Kingdom Line sale. Now through November 28th, buy 2, get 1 free on select Kingdom Line items, 2 Kingdom Fuel, 1 chocolate free, and you're going to save $79.99. That's almost $80 you're saving, folks. 2 Kingdom Candy, 1 salted caramel free, save $37.99. 2 Kingdom Cup, get 1 free, save $19.99. 2 Kingdom Crunch, 1 acai bowl, flavor free, save $14.99. And the entire Kingdom Line can help you stay healthy and store up for emergencies. And this is available at hisglory.me shop. Christmas gift bundles. From now through December 31st, we have 3 gift bundles, wellness, prayer, and coffee, and other gift items. They're all on sale in the His Glory shop. Good time for Christmas shopping. Visit the shop at hisglory.me shop. His Glory shop hat sale. We're offering up to 70% off on select clothing and apparel. Our pink camo hats, only $14.99. You save $15. Green camo hat, $14.99. I actually have some of these. Save $15. And my wife actually has the pink one too. Twisted cuff beanie, $9.99. Save $20. Regular beanie, $9.99. Save another $10. Prayer products. Folks, these are outstanding. Discover our Bibles, anointing oil, and take possession of your land with the prayer kit bundle. And this is available at hisglory.me shop. And folks, most importantly of all, prayer requests. Please submit your prayer request to hisglory.me, ask for prayer. Our prayer team is standing by. We get back to you, whether you need healing, whether you need help, whether you just have a prayer of thanksgiving. Please reach out to us. Hurricane relief funds. As you know, folks, we were on the ground helping out in North Carolina, and we're still doing more. We are we're currently helping to build houses for those that have tiny houses for those who have lost their homes. So, in the wake of the devastation caused by Hurricane Helene and Florida's Hurricane Milton, His Glory Ministry has launched a relief fund to provide vital supplies by those affected by this disaster. Donate today at hisglory.me. Donate. That is it for our announcements. Let us bring Mr. Byrne in. Patrick, how are you today, sir?
Chris, great to be on with you again. Great to see you again, sir.
Oh man, I have this affinity for you because you're one of those guys that has lived a life of adventure that when you sit down and try to explain it to people, they look at you like you're making this up. That's crazy. But the facts all back you up. You really have led this blessed, amazing life. And now you've got this new series out. Yeah, not good exactly. You've got this new series up that I want to congratulate you. As a filmmaker, I thought you all did a wonderful job of putting bringing your book Danger Close to life in this new series, The Enemy Within. Great title, by the way. Tell me about.
I'll take. Go ahead. I'll
Why
take
don't
all
we
the
do
credit
this?
you give me, but none of the credit goes to me for the movie. I showed up in there the week of interview. It was all General Flynn and Matt Thayer did the movie, and the title came from General Flynn.
Well,
But the movie, the structure, I agree, it's impeccable. And there's not a bad cut. It all works. It's so gripping. So many people tell me it's a 3-part docuseries. People tell me they watched the first part, and they tell me I missed church because I was sitting in the parking lot in church watching your movie Byrne, and I couldn't put it down. It's pretty exciting, and it's true to life. I mean, the dialogue is word for word the truth. So that was General Flynn and Matt Thayer deserve the credit for that.
Well, they did a great job. But tell you what, why don't we show people what we're talking about? Hey, Jack, let's run the trailer for The Enemy Within.
My name is Patrick Byrne, domestic extremist threat number 1. Or not. Perhaps I'm just somebody who's willing to say the emperor has no clothes. You can decide for yourself.
Patrick Byrne.
They're following everything that you've been working on.
Yes, sir. Understood.
You may know of me as the CEO of this $2 billion e-commerce company, but really, I have this other life.
You have an unusual relationship with the United States government?
Sir, why are you bringing this up?
The FBI needed me to set up a bribe.
We can't have agents running around creating crimes.
It would violate too many rules for us to do it, but if you're willing to go do it, we'll look the other way.
Hello, my name is Maria Putina.
Then I would make it happen. Instead of being happy, they say,
Just let it play. All right?
What?
Let it play.
now, I know this may look like the Deep Throat scene from All the President's Men, but where do you think that stuff comes from? These things happen.
What you think you know?
I was encouraged to have a relationship,
What you think you are?
and it's heated up.
I'm going to meet the Trumps.
I was starting to realize the feds were using Maria to smudge up the Republican Party, and they were using me to use Maria. And this truth is going to be so explosive.
Erase every moment from your memory.
If you do this long enough, you begin to feel like an enemy of your own country.
They're going to arrest this Russian grad student so they could say, no, there is an actual Russian at the center of our Russian collusion drama. A civilization all begins with the rule of law. And once that gets corrupted, it's like my worst fears had just been realized. I don't know, maybe I'm just being sensitive.
Yeah, I got to tell you, this is your life on screen, my friend. I was going to ask you how you found Matt Thayer because I thought he did a great job directing this, but you said he came through Mike Flynn. Pat, How does it feel to see yourself up on screen? And for now, it's out there. I mean, people have seen the stuff that you've had to hold inside for so many years.
It's painful. It's surreal. I thought that word of it would never reach the world, certainly in my lifetime. I thought maybe 50 years after I died, word of it would reach the world. I even kind of once made, a decade ago, I made arrangements for that if I died, a law firm would hold the materials, and 50 years after I was gone, it could be released. But here it's like being a mafiosi who is breaking ranks with your family and coming out and ratting on them. I've tried very hard to be careful about what I said and not to divulge anything that just to be gratuitous, but just to divulge the things that need to be divulged for the public to understand what's happened to their country. But I'm sure I understand there's a lot of really angry feds at me because you don't do this. In fact, I got a phone call from William Barr's office the day after I first started coming out in late 2020 or late 2019 saying, Byrne, you owe us 15 years for every secret you're revealing. But they were asking me to keep silent about something that I knew my country was being thrown.
Well, they were doing more than asking you. They were threatening you, saying that if you don't shut up, we're going to throw you in prison. Pat, I've lost a lot of close friends in the 20 years doing this stuff. My concern for you has been the last couple of years that you wouldn't be around to be able to tell this story, that they may just see you as a loose end and you'd be gone.
Well, I am a loose end. Well, I'm sitting right now in Doha, Qatar, and I've got some medical things going on here, so I can't leave anyway, but I'm going to sit right here until there's rule of law back in the United States, given that I actually can't even travel at the moment because of a health issue. So I'm just going to sit right here, and when Trump's back in and there's rule of law, I'll come back in. The Venezuelan mafia has a $25 million hit on me, incidentally. And I was in West Africa about 4 months ago, and some people tried to kidnap me. And the secret police of the nation of Ghana let me know that under questioning, people were saying, look, we're trying to kidnap Byrne because we've been promised a lot of money if we get him to if we take him, and he's going to be taken to a third country. And then, to be honest, the U.S. government got in touch and let me know there's a Nigerian warlord who is orchestrating this. Every mafia in West Africa knows about this price on your head of 25 million. They've already picked out a hole in the ground in Burkina Faso where they're going to be holding you. And it's all being done at the instruction of the Venezuelan cartel. So right now, I don't mind that I'm a little bit under the weather and need to sort of rest in Qatar, which happens to be very safe.
And let me make a wild guess here, Pat. The reason the Venezuelan mafia wants you dead wouldn't have anything to do with what you did with the America Project and all the work and time and resources you put into election integrity in this country, which they've had a big hand in hijacking.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's all about. That's exactly what it's all about. And they believe that their election of July 28th got hijacked. It got hacked. And I can even tell you they had an election on July 28th, Sunday. And the truth is, in their election, you really want to know?
Yep.
In their election on Sunday, July 28th, they knew they were going to receive about 7 million ballots against them and 2 million for them. About almost 80-20 against them. And to keep the arithmetic simple. And their plan was to do what they normally do, was stuff 5.5 million ballots. And now in Venezuela, when you vote and you've got to give a national ID card and a fingerprint. And only then does the machine accept your ballot. What people don't know is that machine actually ties your ballot to your fingerprint. So the Venezuelan government, which is the Venezuelan mafia, it's the same thing. The mafia, Venezuela is where mafia turns into nation state. The Venezuelan mafia government knows how you vote. They started this a couple cycles ago, and your ballot is tied to your fingerprint. So they go through later and see who's voting against them. And they knew they'd be 7 million for and 2 million against. But so they were going to stuff 5.5 million ballots. And how do you do that if you need a fingerprint for each ballot? Well, they have a little software tool that lets them bypass the fingerprint reader and stuff their 5.5 million ballots. Well, that fingerprint reader was working right up until midnight on July 27th. But at 12:01 a.m. on July 28th, that little software tool stopped working. And so on the day of the election, they could not stuff any of their 5.5 million ballots, which is why they canceled all the normal election observation and pseudo transparency. And they just came out the next late at night and they said, hey, we won 51-49, like it or lump it. And they did no transparency. And anyone who went, they've checked almost every precinct in Venezuela, and it's all 80-20 against. But they just came out and said, we won 51-49. For some reason, they think I know something about this, and they think that I hacked their election. So there's currently a $25 million bounty on my head from Venezuela. Go figure.
Go figure. Yeah. And the Venezuelans, I was on the ground in Honduras when they tried to take over the government there and keep Micheletti in office. And Hugo Chavez he was behind all this stuff, and they couldn't get there was no printing company that could get in Honduras to print out these illegal ballots. So they brought them in from Venezuela. They had to go there. They've been ahead of the game. Venezuelan intelligence working with the Cubans, working with the Russians, working with Iran as a proxy of China. They have been so ahead of the game on all of this stuff. We could do a whole show just on the Venezuelan interference in the election machines here in the United States.
Oh yeah.
So, man,
that's how it works.
Yeah.
Can I give your viewers a quick 90-second history on that?
You can, but let me just do this first. Before Pat gives us this 90-second history, I'm going to ask all of you to put Pat in your prayers, okay? We need to keep him safe. We need to keep him prayed up, full armor of God. Go ahead, Pat.
The Venezuelan mafia, Hugo Chavez, took over Venezuela in 1999. And Venezuela is sitting on, they seized two high grounds immediately. One of those is the oil company of Venezuela, because Venezuela is the biggest oil reserves in the world, bigger than Saudi Arabia. And they seized the oil company and then looted Venezuela of about $4 trillion. While their own people starved, they've looted $4 trillion out of the system, this mafia. And the other high ground they seized was the election commission, because how do you keep yourself from ever being dislodged? If you're sitting on top of the world's biggest gas station, how do you keep yourself ever from being dislodged? You seize the election equipment, the election council. Well, that election council created a software package that would let them computerize their elections and steal their own elections. That council created a commercial go-to-market vehicle. That go-to-market vehicle was called Smartmatic. And then Smartmatic, which is they sent 3 engineers to America who created a Delaware company to commercialize it. But it's just their election package. That package, by hook or by crook, by corporate license and divestiture and bankruptcy and acquisition, blah, 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 that package ended up as the central technology package of the 3 main election manufacturers in the world. So when you're voting on those machines, you're voting on software that actually traces all the way back. If you could pierce all the corporate veils and licenses, it traces back to the Venezuelan mafia through this series of companies. In addition, there's a factory in Taiwan where they manufacture. Smartmatic has and at the end of their assembly line, the machines come on and they get a stamp on them that says, I don't want to get you sued. So, well, but there's 3 main brands. They get the stamp, the brand glued onto the front, but it's one assembly line in Taiwan. And to make things even worse, that assembly line is not really manufacturing. It's just assembling components that come out of a factory in mainland China, including the motherboard. And this was disguised from the United States government because they lied. And secondly, Iran acted as a paymaster in the background doing kind of shadow transfer pricing, it's called. I won't go into, but that's why the government did not see SWIFT transfers between the different parties involved. So when you're voting on this kind of equipment, you're voting on stuff where the software traces back from the machines that the companies you think you're dealing with through licenses agreement to a Smartmatic, which is really a commercial front of the Venezuelan Election Council, which is really a subsidiary of the Venezuelan mafia. And the equipment is made in their factory in Taiwan, which is assembling parts that come out of 60 miles from Beijing, China. So this whole system is compromised as compromise gets.
You know, everything you're saying is backing up what Lieutenant Scott Bennett said when he did these forensic investigations as to actually who owns these companies, and he traced it back to China. And he ended up spending 2 years in prison. So it's
I don't know about who is this? Who is this?
Yeah, Lieutenant Scott Bennett. He's a former military intelligence. He wrote a book called I think it was Shuffle Game, but he forensically tracked all the ownership. Shell Game, that was the name of the book he wrote. I'm sorry, Shell Game, and he dissected all the different companies, shell companies that were used. And who actually owns these machines. I won't say the name of the company because, like you said, I don't want to get our ministry sued, but you know who I'm talking about. So, and the work that you did.
The worst part is, on election day, what they have an office in Belgrade, Serbia. And we have this, I have all this dead to rights, let me promise you, that they have an office in Belgrade, Serbia. They didn't even admit they had, but then they slowly, when we found out, they said, well, it does some R&D there. It's not R&D, it's the center of gravity, the technical center of gravity. It is staffed by people from Serbian military intelligence and Chinese military intelligence. And they're sitting there, and they've got 15 different techniques of cheating, and 14 of them are on the ground, different things that we all talk about, that they get illegal aliens registered and then they stuff ballots in their names, and all the 14 that you know about, so that if they want, pardon me, I'm getting some props, if they want this guy to win against this guy, they got 14 different techniques to get them close. And then at the end of the day, at 7:01 p.m., when the polls close down, an office in Belgrade, Serbia comes on and just jams whatever is needed to get this guy to win. And in fact, the way they even do that, I can tell you, is they come in through VPNs, in 2020, it was Germany and Italy. They came through VPNs, machines there to disguise into the back of 30% of the counties in America. And they create inside the county election system something called a virtual machine, which is a technique that came out 20 years ago in civilian equipment, that you can create within a server a virtual server that exists only in the RAM, not the hard. I don't want to be too technical, but it exists only in RAM. And through that, they come in the back portal, create a virtual machine. From that machine, they manipulate any results they want on the hard drive. Then they disappear that virtual machine, close off the portal. There ain't no track of nothing. You can even audit, they fight to keep you from auditing the machine. But even if you get to audit the machine and you do any normal audit, you're not going to find anything. Only if you do a bits and bytes forensic audit will you even discover that somewhere in the middle of this, you won't even really find much trace of it, even if you can do a bits and bytes audit, because it's done in the RAM memory, not on the hard drive. But this is what Tina Peters, this hero in Mesa County, what she found, and a guy named Jeff O'Donnell did Mesa report number 3. What he found was the trace that he didn't really understand what he found. He knew that he found that somewhere in the middle of their election, some new thing had come in and created a database and done all this work. He couldn't find how it happened. How it happened was they created in the RAM memory a virtual machine which did all this stuff, and then it just disappears. So there's not a record of anything. And they do this all from Serbia. And we have this dead to rights. Now, it did not happen on November 5th. They were planning on it happen. They were confident it was going to happen. I'll even tell you something I haven't made public yet. Kamala Harris, I've hinted at this publicly. Kamala Harris, a week before the election, she met with somebody that actually is a friend of a friend. She and her transition team met with somebody who was a friend of mine, not knowing that he's a friend of a friend of mine. And they were cocky and smirky as could be, I'm told. They were just smirking, and they were just saying, don't believe anything you read in the paper. Don't believe what the polls say. We got this in the bag. We got this in the bag. We're 100% confident. It was very strange. The person they were saying this to thought, this is really strange. And he said specifically they were smirking. And guess who her transition team was? It was never announced because she lost, but her transition team was all Obama flunkies. So this would be but they got caught off guard. They still thought this was going to happen the night of November 5th, Tuesday. This was all going to happen. Something interrupted it. Something disrupted it.
Okay, so let's get down to it. What was the something that interrupted it this time?
Beats me, but that's why she didn't even have a concession speech. Remember how it took her 24 hours to do a concession? She didn't even have a concession speech written. That's how confident they were. There was a report yesterday about how Merrick Garland was so shocked on that Tuesday night, no one could believe it. They thought they had it in the bag. Something happened. Who knows? Technology is fallible, you never really know.
So loose lips sink ships. Let me ask you, Patrick, do you think that these people will be held accountable? Do you think the same people that roadblocked their cheating do you think traps were set that they fell into? Will we be able to go back and prosecute these people?
Well, we can go back and prosecute them. We have everything. And everything is safe and safely stored. It doesn't matter if a missile hit me tonight. We have it all. It's all safely stored. We know what happened. What they should be thinking about now is what's the graceful thing to do is lay down their swords and just tiptoe out and hope for mercy. And if they do that, I'll be the front of the line saying mercy. We got to get mercy. It's going to be truth and reconciliation. We don't need to hang 10,000 people from trees. I'll be the front of the line making that argument. It seems to me like they may be doubling down, these fools.
Yeah.
Barack Obama, has it been confirmed that he left the country?
I've heard that from several sources. It hasn't been confirmed to me, but yeah, that's one of those disinformation things. Let's pick up with that when we get back, Pat. We're going to go to commercial here for a few minutes. Folks, sit down and absorb what he's telling you. This is mind-blowing stuff, but it really puts the dots together. We'll see you guys right after this break. God bless you.
What's up, my lion friends? I want you to know this. Having a weak immune system is like having an open border for your body. Not good. The expert formulation team at Fierce Immunity has gone to great lengths to find the most essential ingredients that will have the most potent impact on strengthening your immunity. Using proprietary technology, they tested different natural ingredients across all systems of the body, and what came back was over 1 trillion different data points, which showed these ingredients in Fierce Immunity are the most potent immune protectors. And the brilliant part is, it's how the ingredients synergistically work together to strengthen your immune system like nothing else on the market. Just go to getfiercenow.com and pick yourself up a bottle of Fierce Immunity or get on a monthly subscription program. Fierce Immunity helps me protect and preserve my most precious freedom, my health.
Are you a Christian business owner, church, or nonprofit looking for a partner who shares your values? Meet Pro-Life Payments. We offer processing, giving, and fully customizable donor management, and can even end QuickBook fees. We match or beat rates and donate 15% to help moms and save babies. Ready to partner with someone as dedicated to your beliefs as you are? Go to prolifepayments.com/life/His Glory or scan the QR code above. Make the switch and save babies with every swipe with Pro-Life Payments.
Welcome back to the War and Truth. We're sitting here with Patrick Byrne. Pat, let me ask you, or let me share with you my thoughts. You said something that you would, and it's very honorable. That if they gracefully said, "Okay, we're wrong, hand over the keys, let's move on," that you'd be the first person to forgive them and move on. My gut tells me absolutely not, that these folks, they are not going to give up power like that. They're going to double down. And just yesterday, they launched missiles from Ukraine into the heart of Russia. I mean, the guy's got 2 months left to get this administration is over, and it looks like they're trying their best to start World War III. Your
Yep.
thoughts on that?
My thoughts are that Barack Obama is really pulling the strings. Joe Biden doesn't know how to spell attack him, and Army tactical missile. And this is Barack Obama, and Barack Obama is a narcissist. And the thing that narcissists fear about everything else in the world is exposure, because a narcissist has a big hole in them that they're always trying to fill in, and so they're all about their image versus themselves, and they become very invested in this image. And you ask any shrink, the thing that makes narcissists go crazy is the thought of public exposure. Barack Obama now knows that he is being exposed to history, and he'd rather burn the world down than have that happen, is what it looks like. So they're trying to start World War III. What I really fear is that they're trying to start a war in Europe that they can then declare some national emergency, and Trump never takes power, or they kill Trump, and there's just, some, and Trump is never seated. And I mean, I think these guys would rather have that happen than ever face public exposure of what they've done.
Well, I think they absolutely would too, because I think a lot of them know that should Trump get in there, and should we have Nuremberg type style trials, which some of us, myself included, have been advocating for full transparency, you are going to see, as Hillary Clinton said, people swinging from nooses. Unfortunately, I know that sounds hard, but when you commit treason, when you go against this country, there's a price to be paid. And they know that, and I think they are scared to death. I mean, look at from the people in Hollywood that are scrubbing their Twitter accounts to let's just say there may be people in Washington, D.C. that the shredding companies, the paper shredding companies and bleacher people may be having a banner month this year going into Christmas.
You see that truck out in front of the DOJ? Somebody took a picture of a big shredding truck out in front of the DOJ yesterday.
No, I didn't see that, but that would go along with some friends of mine who live in Alexandria have been telling me. I think there is panic in D.C., and I don't think these people will let loose of that.
However, I've got good news for you. I'm in touch with the DHS, and the DHS has let me know we're not going to let DHS, and I'm not talking about low-level people, I'm talking about high-level, across-the-board people have let me know we're not going to let these goons go unconstitutional. So there's a fight within government. 90% or more are on our side of the Constitution, and they're against. So any feds who think that they can get away with this, or if they're on the fence and wondering which side that if they go with this side, might they get away with it, your own people in both basically at the current level of colonel and below, they're on our side. They're not going to let the Biden fascist regime get away with this. So I've got very good news. I mean, I've had people approach me from the DHS and show me their badges, and they say, we've made this trip just to let you know the DHS is going to stand with the people against this. Don't worry about it. And the DHS is the one that matters. FBI, they got 35,000 people. DHS has 250,000 people. And even within the FBI, the guys who carry guns and wear, sneakers to work, the guys who they don't want to see this nonsense happen. It's basically it's the DC Bureau headquarters, and it's the top level at each of the top few guys at the 55 garrisons or whatever they're called in the FBI, but the rank and file are on our side. So, and I think the military is on our side from colonels and down. So anybody who's thinking that they're going to go along with this and get away with it is, now one place I differ from you is I don't think we want to hang 10,000 people from trees. I think we want to follow Nelson Mandela. He got through apartheid without a civil war by realizing if I try to hang 10,000 people from trees, I'll have a civil war. So he created a truth and reconciliation process for which he won the Nobel Prize and Peace Prize, and he deserved it. And we let the truth out. Anyone give a chance. Anyone can tell the truth, and whatever you've done, it's fine. All is forgiven. You just go on with your life. That's what we need in America, and not and we're still at the point. We're just barely at the point we can do that because nobody's fired on anybody yet. Nobody's done anything like that. Yeah, we've had a tough 4 years, but nobody's fired on anybody yet. If they double down and they're insane, but if they double down and try to get us, then it's going to be harder. They're making it harder and harder to forgive them. But just the American people should know the overwhelming majority of feds are on our side against this nonsense.
Well, let's be clear. First of all, this is outstanding news you're bringing us about DHS. That is simply awesome. I'm not calling for 10,000 people to swing from trees. What I am calling for is I want open investigations. And the one thing we saw after World War II with the Nuremberg trials is the evidence was presented, it was filmed for everybody to see. And I'm with you. Trump even says in The Art of the Deal, once you've beaten your opponent, knocked him down, give him a hand back up. I try to live my faith every day. Forgiveness is a huge part of that. But I do want to see justice, Pat. I do want to see, from the pressure the FBI put on my family because of January 6th and making capital punishment, to the lives of my friends who they've destroyed, my friends that have lost their homes, their families, their relationships with their children. I want justice. I want the truth to come out. And I want the people, like for January 6th, the people that America doesn't know about that were behind the scenes pulling these strings, folks that may have used
all that to be revealed.
Yeah, folks that may have used 2014, the taking over the Ukrainian government as a practice run for J6. I want history to record what's happened, and history's not going to know if it's all kept in the shadows. But let me segue for something, because when I first met you, you're a man that walks in joy. You even when we're dealing with when you and I first met, we were going over the horrors that we were doing on the border after 18 years, and yet you have a lightness about you that gets you. You do all this serious stuff, and then you come with the humor. Let me ask you, how much and if you don't mind me talking about your personal health history, but your battle with cancer from being a young kid and still playing college football. And when you play football, you take a hit, you keep going. How much of those two things influenced you, and how you've had the guts to be so patriotic and stand up for what you believe in?
Well, it's funny. They happened in the reverse order. I played ball through college. I got cancer right after college. Although I remember the last season I played football at college, which was my sophomore year, I was starting to hurt when I hit people. I was a defensive tackle. I would hit people, I would just hurt. And it's kind of hard to go to your coach and say, Coach, it hurts when I get hit, because you feel like a wimp. But looking back, what was going on is I already had the cancer. It was already eating away at me. I remember distinctly thinking, God, I'm being such a wimp, but how do I say it isn't fun like it used to be. It hurts when I get hit, and in a way it never did before. And really, by the time, maybe 9 months later, I would jump into a swimming pool. The impact with the water would hurt. And it was still another year before I just finally collapsed, and it turns out I was riddled with cancer. I think it all affects me. I've, as I said in my book, I've died 500 times. I've had 115 surgeries. I've had 400 times they've stopped my heart with either electroshock or doses of adenosine. When you've died 500 times, you kind of have a different attitude towards life, I guess.
I like to say, people know me, I say every day's Christmas. And I've said that ever since my leukemia diagnosis. Yeah, it's every day's a gift. It is. But I mean, it's still the guy that you all hired. What was his name? That played you in the movie. I think I have it in my notes here. Heath somebody. Heath Harper.
Heath
I
Harper. Yeah.
I thought, well, I know I was like, I think Pat's shoulders a little bit broader than his are, but I thought this guy did an amazing job of playing you. And he did a great thing of like when somebody would say something, he would just think for a second and he had a hint of your smile and then he delivered the line. I was like, he captured Pat in doing that. Um, how do you,
Really.
I mean, you had the guts in you to when the president of the United States, you brief him for almost 2 hours, he makes a decision. You have the cojones to go back to Mr. Trump and say, "But wait a minute, I think you should do this." I mean,
I know it
that's
turned out to be a faux pas. I didn't know that, but you never ask a president to reconsider. But yeah, he came. I only met him once or 1 week. I was in Oklahoma filming. See, I didn't make the movie. General Flynn and Matt Thayer made the movie, but I showed up when they told me to for a week of filming in February in Oklahoma. And this guy Heath was there, and of course he's this young, handsome version of me, and he just sat and watched me for a week, and I finally said, "What are what are you doing?" And he said, I could see him when I was talking and stuff. I would see him over at the corner of my eye. He would just be sitting there and doing this too. And I finally had a break, asked him, "What are you doing?" He's like, he said, "I'm learning your mannerisms. I'm learning the way your air." So it's funny that you told me he captured me. Is that what I'm like? It's funny. I didn't
he
know.
No, he did a good job, and he walked with a quiet confidence. So I thought this guy did. I hope he gets a lot more work because he really did a great job in this. So did the girl that played Maria, Bettina. I thought she was very well. You threw me at the end of this. I don't want to give too much away of your series, but you threw me
Feel
at the
free.
end when you went back because I always wonder what happened to Maria because you broke her heart twice, and to
Don't
see
remind
that she landed on her feet, she's now a member of the Russian parliament, but to see her speak on your behalf at the end of the film, I thought that was really powerful.
I didn't know. I didn't know until I watched the movie. When she came out in the last 5 minutes on the camera and sits and speaks, I was like, I was shocked. I didn't know it, but she came out. She's a wonderful woman, and you can see it. You can see she's a wonderful gal. We totally set her up. America. She came here, loved America, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. She was this idealist philosophy student hoping to play a part in world peace. And she certainly had her eyes open about corruption in America through this, but still she became in prison quite a Christian, and she's all about forgiveness. And we've never actually spoken again, but we have communicated by text sparingly at first, and then now maybe once every couple of weeks. And she's very forgiving, and she has every right. I mean, I set her up, and she spent 18 months in a box for something that she didn't do. So it's pretty hard to imagine how she could forgive me for that, but she does. She does.
Yeah, I think she spent
Luckily,
100 days in solitary confinement. But no, she did come out and she forgave you, which was huge. And that must not have been easy for you. I know you at one point you advised her to walk into the nearest FBI um, office for her safety because you were afraid they were going to kill her. And she was a loose end, and you advised her to go into the FBI and tell them everything she knew, and she said she couldn't do that because she was a loyal Russian citizen. Um, so you tried to save her
word
from
for
being
word,
arrested.
that conversation was word for word. I couldn't come out and tell her I'm working for the FBI. They're on you, Maria. But I did say to her, Maria, you're what we call a loose end, and either the FSB is going to send some goons to whack you, or you're going to get arrested. Please, just the FBI office is 6 blocks that way. Just walk over to it, walk in, and all you have to say is, "Look, I understand you guys might be worried about me being in town. There's been stuff in the newspaper about me. If you have any questions, let me answer the questions." Even that was kind of pushing the limit of what I could say to her, but I gave her as broad a hint as I could. And she said, Pat, I can't do that. I'm a loyal Russian citizen. I could never do that.
I don't want to give too much of the movie away, so if you don't want to talk about this, but there are some things I think people need to understand and why they need to see this film. Um, you have your companies in Utah. You met then Senator Orrin Hatch, and also Arlen Specter who also was going through some cancer stuff at the time. But you literally were given not a license to kill, but they really brought you into kind of a star chamber and said, we know you've been doing great work. We know how much you love this country, and we're going to write this letter, which is kind of a get out of jail free card. We need you to go save this country. How surreal was that?
That was bizarre. And it takes a lot to kind of throw me, but that's one of two conversations in my life where I've just been completely kind of, I walked into a room with 7 senators. I'd spent about a year at that point, basically spying on the US government for the Senate Judiciary Committee. And they explained to me that we have the ultimate authority to investigate corruption, which means we can look into anything. Our power transcends every other power within government. And because of that, Patrick, we want to, they used me to move around Washington. And at that time I was fighting Wall Street, and they wanted me to sort of move around. They would give me direction about where to go to, and then I would report for them on different, they would have me meet with different people and come back and report to them. And after I had done that for a year, they brought me in and we said, we think you're right about there's some kind of corrupt thing taking over Wall Street, and we want to empower you. I mean, it's line for line, word for word in the movie is what they really said. They said, we think you might be right. Some kind of corruption is taking over Washington, D.C. It's our job to stop it, but we can't stop it. And we need you to stop it for us. And they showed me this letter. They said the last time anyone had done this was World War II, where an American citizen they were worried about German
infiltration.
Yep. An American businessman with a lot of contacts in government had been asked to become a German sympathizer. And they told me they wanted me to basically penetrate the deep state and disrupt it. They said, we don't know how you're going to do this. We may not be senators when you complete your mission. We may not be alive when you complete your mission. But this letter is going to be sitting the rest of your life in a safe in Washington, D.C. And then there's this crazy letter that says that the first paragraph says something about systemic corruption infiltrating the federal institutions of our nation's government. And the next paragraph says Patrick Byrne gets extraordinary latitude under the laws of the United States of America to infiltrate and disrupt corruption in the federal government, or something, some words to that effect. And so that's saved my bacon on a lot of, they said you can't kill anybody, but this is going to keep anyone from prosecuting you. So I spent the next 10 years infiltrating the deep state. And what history will never know, what I actually had to do, because you can't just show up at the door of the mafia and say, hey, let me help you out. You have to you have to earn your bones. I earned my bones after 10 years until they were having me do things like bribe Hillary Clinton and set up a Russian collusion delusion. At that point, I pulled the trap out from under them.
Yeah, so they said one of the things they had trust in you for is because in previous missions you have been known for doing extreme things, and that basically they took that as you'll do whatever it takes to get the mission accomplished, and they thought that was an admiral character that you had, or admiral trait.
I'll tell you, the world will never know that one, but there's not been I've blown through $150 million altogether since then. The world will never know everything I really did to get to the point to get all the way to the depths of the deep state. I blew through my most of my fortune and everything, but I'm unmarried and had no kids. And what was I saving it for? But my attitude was, actually, I felt a great burden for a while. And then there was somebody who said to me, I didn't tell anyone but my father. And there was a gal, not a girlfriend, but a gal in my life, kind of a weird Kundalini sorceress type, and who got to know me after about 5 years. And I said to her, well, she asked me kind of why I was the way I do certain things. And I said, well, I explained to her there's this background request that was made of me So she spent years, whenever I was really down or broken or exhausted, she would show up and kind of take care of me for a few months and get me back on track. And she said, instead of thinking about this as this great log on your shoulder, the way you should think of this is, I get to. Who gets to do this, Pat? Who gets to do this? But you get to take on the mafia. You get to take on criminals on Wall Street. You get to penetrate the U.S. government and find the deep state. Who gets to do things like this? And you should get out of bed every day saying, I get to, instead of thinking, oh my God, I'm trudging my way through. I've got the burden of this request from 300 million people. I can't put it down. I should be jumping out of bed and saying, I get to do this. So that kept me going. And there were actually plenty of times I was on my death. I've had 115 surgeries. 400 times they stopped my heart. From 2008 to 2015, I was sick as a dog. I was at one point, I was stage 4 of 2 unrelated diseases at the same time. And there were numerous times in hospitals that I thought I was sitting there just hanging on, thinking, I haven't really completed this mission, that mission that they gave me back then. And it probably kept me alive. Because I knew I hadn't, who gets the way I always saw it, as corny as it sounds, I felt like 300 million Americans had asked me to do something, had signed a letter telling me to do this. And so that meant I couldn't let myself die.
No, I get that. And I have a little bit bigger perspective on this. I think that God had special plans for you, and He wasn't done with you, and that's why you're going to blow through this. What your health concerns are now. God doesn't make mistakes, Pat, and He chooses His people wisely. And I'm just going to put this out there to you. We have a wonderful lake at the His Glory Ranch in Texas, and if you're ever out here, you have an open invitation to baptism in our lake. It's there for you, because God is going, when you die, God is going to look at you and He's going to say, "Well done, my faithful servant." And if you're this much closer to Jesus, you're going to have a much better afterlife.
That's my hope. That's my hope. And I was baptized Catholic when I was a baby. I don't talk about my religion. But I did once. Because I had a whole lot of people sort of asking me 4 years ago and wondering why I was in your community, but I wouldn't talk about it. And I finally one time explained to folks, look, you don't have to convince me. I spent 3 years in a cancer ward talking to God, but we ended it with an NDA. With an NDA. And the preacher told me, that's not how it works. When you're filled with the love of Jesus, you hear this and that, this and that. And I said, well, this came from the Department of Special Situations. So just trust me.
Special situations. Well, as an ex-altar boy myself, who was also baptized when I was young, I understand that journey. So, you and God have got a dialogue going. I'm thrilled for you, because he obviously has used you well, and I know He's not done with you whatsoever. Do you think this time around? This whole last week, Trump's been putting out his nominees. Do you think that your buddies at DHS? Do you think they're excited that Christine Nome might be their new boss?
Is that who he's picked for DHS?
Yep.
That's acceptable to me. I like her.
How about Matt Gaetz? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, baby.
And let's see, who else has he got in there? He's talking about Kash Patel as the head of the FBI.
That's who I want. That's who I want. The establishment is saying, look, we'll give you Matt Gaetz if you let us have Mike Rogers.
Marco Rubio.
Yeah, I want Matt Gaetz and Kash Patel. Oh, that's a dream team. That's a dream team.
I wanted to reach out to Kash and say, hey, Kash, if you get this job, can you just let my wife know that officially the FBI investigation into me and my family is now over, so that she can sleep a little bit better at night? That would be a dream come true, I think, if Kash gets in there.
He's a very formal guy. Ann Vandersteel. You should look up this clip about 2 years ago. Ann Vandersteel was interviewing him. You know Ann, don't you?
Yep, very well.
And she ended this interview saying something like, what can you tell us about Patrick Byrne? And he just froze. Just look this up. He just froze. He said, I'm not going to say anything. I don't want the men in black showing up at my front door. That was so he's a very by the book kind of guy. But you know what? That doesn't look so bad these days. I'd rather have a by the book kind of guy, kind of people we've had.
I like how you don't call them the FBI, you call them the men in black. When they came to my door, they just went right through the front gate, quarter mile, all the way into the ranch. And I'm thrilled by what you said, because to this day, I would like to. Pardon me?
Aggressively or in a gentlemanly way?
No, very gentlemanly. And that I was just about to say, to this day, Agent Josh, if you're listening to this, I would like to believe that you sincerely are one of those patriots that Pat is talking about. We know there's a lot of good agents in the FBI and in the federal government that would like to see things be constitutional, patriotic, the way they should be. So I've always hoped that Agent Josh, who's the person I interacted with before it got handed over to my attorneys, that he really was one of those folks that honors this country, that honored the fact my dad had graduated from the FBI Academy at Quantico, Virginia. And wasn't just playing good cop, bad cop. But I know from my friends Kyle Seraphim and Steve Friend, two FBI whistleblowers, that there is a lot of wonderful men and women in the FBI that love this country very much. And I hope that they get a leader in there that lets that cream rise to the top.
Absolutely. In fact, people I dealt with were letting me know from 2009. They were very discreetly letting me know something's going on at headquarters. We don't get it. Something's really going wrong.
And now we know. Pat, God bless you. Get healthy. Please let us know. Text me. Let me know how these treatments go. Folks, go see this series. You have to see this at the enemywithindocuseries.com. And I tell you what, if you go there, put the His Glory code in, you'll get 10% off. This movie is worth 10 times the price. This is huge. You got to see Pat's story. Pat, God bless you and be well. God bless America. We'll see you on the next one.